certain what gender a person is. So I have to turn my head and take a closer look. I mean, sometimes I have to pause, you know, look closely, see for myself. Okay, sometimes I have to start a conversation. You know, have an interaction, just try to understand. Sometimes I need to make a date. You know, go for dinner, learn some more. Sometimes I need to find a private place, peel off my clothes, meet some skin, and feel it out. Sometimes I need to settle down for a while. You know, have a few children, pass some holidays, make some rituals, see some tragedies unfold, birth, death, grief. I smile a lot, make meals, make love, take it all in. Because it's important to know for sure. And that's what we're taught, right? Sometimes I'm not certain what gender a person is. So I have to take some time and find out. Good evening, beautiful people. It is our pleasure to be here with you tonight. And you know, I get out and about talking about sex and gender. I do this quite a bit, and sometimes I feel like I've been given the lavender blazer, you know, like I am the ambassador from the lesbian community. And sometimes it's like, hi, let me, the non-threatening looking lesbian, explain it all to you, theater goers, poetry lovers. So, you know, I just want to point out to you that this next story I'm going to tell to you, sometimes it seems to answer questions that people have about women like me. I just want to be sure you know that the views expressed here are solely my own. They are not the views of the great lesbian nation or the lesbians of the world. Nothing like that. Some kind of belt fell off the truck. Who knows why? We have come just a few blocks when she sees or feels. Okay, somehow she knows that this has happened. I do not know the truck this well. Further, I do not know the part of myself that could know a truck this well. My lover and her father and the auto part guy from down the street are under the hood at the problem. I'm waiting in the cab of the truck, where it is simply understood that I will wait. My assistance is not requested, required, nor desired. And indeed, I do not desire to give it. My lover's hands are graceful as I watch her, just those few inches of her that are visible between the truck and the raised hood. Her hands are in her pockets now, waiting for a part. Her body is so lithe, smooth movements, neat bends. Now she leans her delicate fingers into the engine case. I wouldn't know what she is reaching for, even if I could see more. I'm watching the long sinews and muscles of her somewhat scarred forearms and thinking how long and hard she feels in my embrace, like I am hugging a sturdy branch and waiting for a storm to pass. See, I'm in the cab of the truck for quite some time. I'm applying lipstick, I'm filing my nails, I'm writing in my notebook, I'm examining my toenails and thinking of the pedicure I will have tomorrow. My lover looks around the hood of the truck infrequently. She smiles a nervous smile. I wonder if she thinks I'm tired of waiting, or if I am perturbed to be waylaid. I wonder what she thinks, and if she thinks at all how beautiful I find her. In this utterly average moment, her lush hair is protruding from beneath her cap, and she just goes about her business. We drive away, car fixed, no explanations from her about what has happened beneath the hood. And I want to make love with her. Now, I don't bother to explain this, comment on it. I just enjoy the way that feels. On a cloudy afternoon, no particular day of the week, when the object of one's affection sits nearby. She holds my hand in her lap on the way home. In my life, some people have asked me why I would want a woman who behaves like a man. Why not just be with a man, they say. And I wonder why they think the attributes relegated to men actually belong to them. I don't want a woman who behaves like a man. I think I want a a woman who is strong and capable, enjoys the company of men sometimes, their interests and urges. But I don't want a woman who is scared to be complete, the way some men are, with emotions and flamboyances, desires to comfort, cry, and love. What I want is the force and analysis and protectiveness of my lover, and if this means that I want a man, well, then let's just say that. Oh, but I want my man in a woman's body. A woman's body that's no long waits in line for the restroom. A body that's endured the stares of those who would do her harm to get what they think makes her less than human. A body that's been thought less than more than once. A body that remembers having been a little girl. See, I want a man who remembers that she's a woman at least long enough to know that I deserve respect and time and a fantastic fuck more than just once in a while. I want a man who wants to lay down her similarity and her difference beside me with a fierce loyalty and passion. And I want to feel those things in her hands because she knows the contradictions of her own spirit and finds peace with mine. As I watched my lover's hands that day beneath the hood of the truck, moving and pointing and tightening and loosening and wondering, I wanted her whole being in exactly the body she was given. See, I want that kind of woman. And I will stand up and say so.
This is the story of Love Ain't Enough. It's about fear and sadness and next life blues. This is the story of one woman's struggle to ungrip she's soul from misery. Now it all began before I know, and it all ended full moon day some time ago, middle of Sapphire Louise Good's wedding. Sapphire, the Reverend Peter Good Sr.'s only girl. Sweet as she is rotten. Got a slow grin, a ripe ass, and enough of the devil in her to drive any good fool mad. Her promise to Samson Tucker Johnson, the Reverend E.M. Johnson's youngest, owner of Tucker's joint crossed the county line. The two reverends figured between they two sinning offspring, at least one God-fearing child ought to be got. Sapphire figured she'd make her daddy happy and enjoy Tucker's fast life and long money. Tucker figured he'd get some good help and free love. So it was on. The biggest 2 preacher, 4 choir, 12 deacon, high-rolling room jumper all time. The only thing about it, Sapphire, full jeans woman. Everybody know it. Sapphire ain't nothing but two-sided. Walk every which way like she got to have it all. Men's in the street, bull jean in the sheets, just all of it. Oh, bull jean, spoil that woman just like the girl daddy. Let she have her way all the time. But everybody know, Sapphire done gone too far this time. Told bull jean, baby, if you loves me like you say you do, you got to want to share in this most important event in my life. After all, my heart belongs to you. You're the one I really love. Child, folk was all up in that church house come broom jump time just packed. Fanning and showing out, waiting and all. They was up in there. Anyway, everything was just beautiful. Till the Reverend E.M. asked, do anyone here have cause to object to this matrimonial binding of God's choosing? Bull Jean stood up, had on she best suit pressed and all said, look-a here, This ain't no binding, and it sure ain't none of God's choosing. I the one put on this earth to walk with that woman, and I the one ought to be up there with her now. So yes, sir, Mr. Reverend Preacher Man, I take the right to make objection to this lie before God. Sapphira, you my biscuits and gravy. The amen at the end of my prayers. You my perfumed hallelujah sweet chariot stop and let me ride. You my southern comfort, my guitar stroking all night, cradling the scent of you are all my memories. You are all the women I have ever loved. My last life love come back, my new moon dancing across a cool stream. You are settled in the depths of me. And no matter where you go, who you with, or what you do, you is mine. Child, you could have heard a mouse fart. Seppo, Conchita LaFoe, and she Sister Wee Wee had their black asses giggling in the back of the church, slurping, and fussing over their sack drink at poor Bull Jean's most serious moment. Anyway, Bull Jean stand there say, sadness settle in the bones, you know. It rots the will and puts out the fires of life. You gon' be sad, woman, 'cause I'm fixin' to be gone, and I ain't gon' be dead. I may not be able to promise you fancy rings and pearls and things, but I guarantee that when we kiss, you'll hear the angels sing. And if that ain't enough to fill your life with joy and comfort, I release you now, love. I turn and walk out. Sapphira, pass out. All up in the sanctuary like somebody done snipped she cord of life. Ain't been the same since, done gained 20 pounds each side the hip, butt drop, eyes dull. Even the devil done left her. She's sanctified now. Jump and holler everywhere except in bed, I hear. Never do help Tucker neither. Bull Jean, she bitter. Sit round singing the same sorry-ass thing all the time. Love will kill you. Break your heart in two, say. Love will kill you. Break your heart in two. I'm so sick of love. I don't know what to do. I done tried to told her, see, your mind and your mouth left the woman, but your soul still gripped around that ass, clinging on for dear life. Your best pride free, for you be stuck with that girl for all time. I know him and all. Too busy waiting in bitterness. Love will kill you. Break your heart in two. I'm so sick of love. I don't know what to do.
Hey, let me talk to him, I said to her as the officer walked around to her side of the car. This is a busy road on a hillside, the kind that would wash out in a bad storm, send little tin shacks tumbling, and foul people's drinking water for weeks. To our left is the ravine and barbed wire fence that separate the nation and city of my birth from the city we are in. God, we were driving too fast. Though a fence is not entirely necessary for being stopped in this border city by notoriously corrupt police. I start to wonder, who will he be? Police are people. I watch his face, his jaw, his stance. He's starting to look at our car. This is a good sign. It means this isn't personal. He's trying to decide based on the age, worth, and condition of the car what our bride will be. Buenos dias. I lean across the seat and begin in a cheery tone. Oh, he will get money, but I will try and maintain control of this interaction. I'm sending her a telepathic message. Please be quiet. Just stay quiet. Take no offense. Make no offense. Just let me handle this. What negotiations could I make with her in these quick moments? I can but will her silence, hope she has nothing to say. While we are both foreigners, I know enough to be a little frightened for us both. No, there's no time for that. I am vigilant for us both. He wants to speak English. Ask questions, talk is good, and I am warm, friendly, apologetic. Still speaking Spanish because she doesn't. She must not join this conversation and reveal herself as a threat to his fragile gender. And this interaction is going well. The conversation almost jovial. My focus is that all of us seem like nice people with stories he can understand. Simple stories keep us human. And yet, how often is vigilance the order of the day for women? Oh, it doesn't matter whether today's possible events live only in my mind rather than in his. Their possibility lives in my body memory. Always a certain tension in the body of one who must watch others in order to stay safe. So I'm managing. He is managing. She is sitting quietly, and this is not always so. My God, she is a great storyteller, and a big presence in the room when we're on our home turf, at least. She never hesitates to offer me her arm when we're walking down the street. She'll open a door for me and quickly accept a kiss of thanks for her common chivalry. Oh, she knows how to manage a situation too, no doubt. Our reinterpretation as man and woman? No, woman and woman. No, well, dyke and woman, man, well. Oh, she knows how to manage a situation too, no doubt. For example, one night in Denver, we went in search of the perfect martini. And our quest led us away from queer-only bars into the Friday night urban press of a string of upscale libationers. In our joy, we sat close, spoke intimately, as many couples do in a bar, warmed by a few cocktails. But our kind are not always allowed intimacy. At one point, sitting in a booth facing the door, she leaned me back for a proper kiss, and one of two men walking by stopped to stare. Loudly he said, "Well, what the hell do we have here?" His tone menacing, drawing in the attention of others, not our kind. Without pause, she delicately unhanded me. She grew to take up all the space around us. Leading with her shoulders, she stood, steady eye contact with the menacer. She said, "Is there some kind of problem?" The speaker hardened, bristled. But his buddy, not wanting to waste a Friday night perhaps, said, "No problem here, none at all," and he moved his friend along. She resumed her seat next to me. Hand on my knee, she asked me if I'd like another drink. But next to me, here in Tijuana, with the officer staring in the window, I am the woman with the story he can understand. And she is still big and strong and powerful, and I am grateful that she is not acting that way now. I'm not sure she knows that this negotiation could turn at any moment, and I would be out of this car, letting him press against me, cop a feel as we negotiate my payment to protect her. I would let him put me in my place if that's what it came to. Because my desire to protect her is at least as fierce as her desire to protect me. I love her. And I will not end up in a Mexican jail today watching her beaten and gang raped because she is a threat to maleness and I need to be shown the error of my ways. God, women like her get the worst of it, but I have survived abuses, avoided many others by managing the situation. So I'm smiling at him. I'm keeping the conversation moving. I'm answering questions about the car, a husband, a profession. I know the right answers. and she is letting me give them. Until he asks about her occupation. Oh my God, does she understand that he is not truly interested? He is trying to decide our collective financial responsibilities, but she is proud. She knows the word for firefighter in many languages. And things are going so well, the conversation almost jovial. I don't think she understands what's happening here. See, she has never left the United States before this trip, taken at my urging, let alone traveled to countries where machismo rules, where the male gender is an ever-fading mark that must be reinscribed many times a day, and women's blood is the ink. She's never traveled to countries such as this one, where being gay is not defined by the gender of the person with whom you have sex, but by the role you take in the fucking. And women never do the fucking. God. See, I understand that this man's identity, it's like a fragile glass ball, and I will be careful with him. Because we are not getting cut today. God help you if you seem to take male privilege unduly. And oh, my lover, you take it so well. So as she offers the Spanish word for firefighter, a male-only job in this country, nearly so in our own, I chuckle a bit. And still speaking Spanish, I reframe her as a paramedic. I explain that in our country the two travel together and that women aren't really paid that much anyway. I'm steering us back to the cost of the bride. And she does not know that I have just insulted her profession and her accomplishments. And he does not have any idea, as I haggle the bribe, pay the money, drive away, that she is my lover. That evening, safely at home in bed, she was gallant once more. She took me a little more aggressively than usual, joyful at being back in a position she could command. As she started to form the funny and clever story of the event, as she is wont to do, I stopped her for a moment and I said, "Hey, you know, thanks for letting me do the talking today, huh?" To which she replied, somber for a moment, "Yeah, I was scared." I nodded, but then I made light of the situation again, because I couldn't stay with my own fear. See, I love her bigness, and I would not diminish her for anything. Masculinity is too fragile, it seems, no matter who's wearing it. And the truth is, we keep each other safe, even though she's the one who walks by the street as she offers me her arm.
She was a boy, born a girl, till she became a man, then a woman, now both. I. He was a girl, then a woman, till she became a young man with flowing hips and hair. I. He a man, then a boy. I. She a man, she a woman. I. Him. She perfectly made, perfectly made, perfectly made, perfectly made for us, for we. Him, she, boy, girl, man, woman, man, young woman, spirit man, girl, child, boy, grown, now, him, she, now, her, he, now, I. My earliest memory is of my grandmother's laughter when I was 3. And we lived in Chicago, and I stole her beer and drank it down before my mother got across the room to take it away. Georgia, sweet Georgia on my mind was on the radio. My mother was very upset, but I didn't care, because I liked the taste of beer and grandmother's laughter. Grandmother smelt like sweaty stockings and day-old beer. Every night I climbed into a sweet sleep encased in that smell and grandmother's thick, damp skin, big belly snores and covers. I loved no one more than my grandmother. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I used to ask her because I was hoping I had more grandmothers somewhere. She'd say, Casa Shaka Mutu. My mother told me grandmother was 15 when she picked the Chicago streets over her own child who she sent back south to the home house. So I knew grandmother loved no one more than me because we were in Chicago and she was there to tuck me in at night. I loved my grandmother, even though she made my mother cry. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I'd ask on rainy days or nights I wasn't sleepy. Kutamakamo, she'd say. And I'd make believe for hours that they were visiting us. We got evicted because grandmother drank up 3 months' rent money my mother didn't know, and that's how we ended up in Los Angeles, because right when we got on the street, grandmother's sister came by on her way to Los Angeles, and me and my mother got in the car, went with her. Grandmother stayed on the street waving. Bye, babies. I love you. My mother is still angry about that, but I didn't care, because I knew grandmother would join us when the next great Amy car came by. 4 years later, my mother sent me south to stay at the home house until she finished night school. I didn't care, because grandmother was back at the home house too, and as soon as I saw her, I loved her more than ever again. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I asked, happy to hear her voice. Kabazulawi, she said. Grandmother, you said our ancestors were Kasashakamutu and Kutamakamo. You never said there was a Kabazulawi. This can't be right, grandmother. Who are our ancestors? She said, shit, gal, I don't know. My daughter is a beauty queen. So was my mother, except nobody told her. She was a singer and a dancer too, but at the home house down south, they said, ain't no colored girl ever gonna make it in this world singing and dancing. But what about Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and Ethel Waters and Florence Mills and Josephine Baker and Lena Horne and Dinah Washington and Marian Anderson and Ella Fitzgerald and Mahalia Jackson and Big Maybelle and Big Mama Thornton and Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday and Vern Baker and Gladys Bentley and Miss Snuggie down the street, she said. Well, you ain't them, they said. Fear took a seat inside her, gradually replacing the light in her eyes. You ain't good enough, they said. And they hit her, and they hit her to make sure she heard. You ain't good enough, they said. Remembering all they had left of Aunt Vera was her braid, which little Tootie found bloody on the tracks last year. You ain't good enough, they said, knowing how dangerous it was for a colored girl to dream. I ain't good enough, she said, not really understanding why. I love my mother. I love no one more than my mother, except my daughter, who I sent to live down south with her father and his home house people when she was little and I was learning how to enjoy laughter without fear. I know that my mother, she loves no one more than me, even though she never said it. I know my mother, she loves no one more than me, because she put me on the bus, and there is no better place to dream than on the bus in Los Angeles. My daughter don't have to ride the bus. She gets rides. And we all, my mother, and even the down south at the home house people tell her how beautiful she is and how she can sing and dance and do anything she wants to do. And when she asks who her ancestors are, I tell her Missouri Kirk, Calvin Mitchell Black, Joseph Hadley Black, Georgia Anna Hicks, Georgia Lee Black. And I go on and on naming them. And I tell her, I don't know the names of the Africans, but your daddy's daddy can name all the names on that side of your tree, including the Indians and the Africans. My daughter, you see, gets to keep her dreams, because we have made it so. And And through her, my mother gets to dream again too. Bye, babies. I love you.
I'm black, she says, and then she laughs. But seriously, Camille adds with a feigned gravity. You're not really white, though, are you, Mummy? I'm pretty white, says Sophia to her 17-year-old daughter. Aren't you German? She asks. This is where I interject. You know, Camille, that whole Western Europe thing, that's pretty much the home of white. I was sort of hoping you were something else, said Camille. Now see, these discussions are prompted by a move from one country to another, which requires a renegotiation of race and national identity. Since race is a conjure, a fabrication, when you go somewhere new, you gotta figure it out. What does it mean here, here, here? This charming, affable teenager, Camille, she is smart enough to start a conversation where some adults won't. Now, Sophia is white and Canadian. Camille's dad is black and Jamaican. Actually, Daddy's grandmother is white, Sophia points out. Camille throws up her hands and says, I'm not hearing that. Stop now. Is this disdain or just overcomplication? I can't tell. The two children have never lived anywhere but Kingston, but now mother and daughter have moved to Canada to care for aging relatives. Camille goes to University of Victoria this fall. She is figuring Canada out day by day. She's been exposed to it through her mother and her grandparents, but Canada has never been exposed to her. And then here I come, the American visitor who is throwing another fascinating card onto the table where Camille plays the game of understanding. Who am I in relationship to others? What does it mean to be this color in your country? She asks me as she holds up her arm and points to her skin. This question sends a small pain through me, and then I smile gently with the pleasure that she speaks so openly, so deservedly. Her mom looks at us, sitting side by side, and she notes, actually, she's whiter than you are. And I hold up my arm next to hers for contrast. It's true, her skin is quite pale. I am a bit yellow in that way that always looks like I'm a white lady with a tan, even if I haven't been in the sun. Yeah, you're whiter than me, but I agree with you. In my country, you're black. Oh, it's not just skin, it's your beautiful facial features and hair. Now listen, we have already had the conversation about hair during this visit. See, hers is not very curly, but she wears it unbrushed after washing it, letting it dry naturally so it doesn't puff up. I, on the other hand, I put hot rollers in my hair and then use the pick and the spray to make it puff up. This is what prompted our hair conversation. But for her, that hair conversation was not about race. It was about whether or not a person looks low class. And see, on me, she decided puffy hair did not look low class, but she says she wouldn't go out that way. I do think this conversation is about race, but I feel it's not my place to mention race until she does. What does it mean to be this color in your country? Oh, this is a complicated question, my bright, inquisitive young friend. Before I can answer her, though, she queries me further regarding whiteness. Okay, so maybe Mummy's white, she concedes. But then what are you? Whoa, I'm American, so I don't really know. She cocks her head at me quizzically. You know, because of our history, and it's based on European colonization of native people, and then slavery, and then loads of immigration, some of it coerced, some of it voluntary. She begins to nod her head like she knows, and you know, maybe she does know. how this could cause a person not to know details about heritage. I think about how few Americans understand that this history might cause them to not know what they think they know about where they came from. So many Americans clutch at whiteness like the purse that will be stolen if there's a black person nearby. I'm Irish, I'm Swedish, I'm Italian. They say it so quickly as though a name or an appearance is the whole story. But ours is a story infused not just with race, but with sex and gender as well. Women's bodies have never been sovereign in my country. So I continue talking to Camille, just to be clear. Well, you know, it's hard to tell because things like family trees and birth certificates, they're not really records of what actually happened. They are more like records of family decision-making. Because, you know, if a child is born of rape or coercion or from an unpopular union, usually that's not recorded accurately. It's kind of like how in my family, my grandmother went through and crossed out in the family photo album all of the places her mother's name was written. She went through and changed her mother's first name from Sophronia to Sephoria. And it's only because I have a certain kind of education that I know that name refers to this yellow in my skin. See, she could have been part African, but that's nowhere in my family's formal telling of our heritage. And some of my family members still acknowledge their American tribal affiliations, but not really most of them. My father didn't. He moved away to California to go to university. He wiped the Texas out of his voice, out of his story. You know, sometimes you have to look with a certain eye to find out where you're from. Though I don't know the details, I know that the history of my country is in me. But you ask my parents, my last name is French. That's all they'll say. Camille has been listening to me patiently. So you're black too, she says. No. I think about myself as a mixed race person with white privilege because that white privilege is the important part. And Camille, that white privilege thing, that's what you wouldn't have in my country. She continues nodding, but with a different gravity. Are you sure about that? Asks her mother, because I think in Canada she'll have privilege. I mean, she's beautiful. Oh yeah, she'd have beauty privilege in my culture too, and light-skinned color privilege, but I think she would still be read as black. And such a reading carries all the history with it that we still can't discuss. Americans don't know how hard they look for race, but it's what we learned. And with that Jamaican accent, there's no getting around it. The word she would hear would be exotic. And sometimes that would be a source of privilege, but always, always a way to dismiss her brilliance. I could say more. About safety, about education, about poverty, about internalized depression in a way I can't even comment on all the little things that we only see in quick moments and then talk ourselves out of. I could comment on all of the things we pull our bodies back from knowing by moving into rehearsed strategies of niceness using language. About how we make up our minds, to close up our minds to anything we can't quickly put words on. I could say more. This is a touchy business, this discussion, and I want to be honest with her about my understanding, because if she comes to my country to study or to live, then she should know. And while I can't comment on Canada, I wonder if her mother isn't just a little bit hopeful, the way any mother can be. What does it mean to be this color in your country? I could say more. But would I be reinscribing my generation's failures onto her beautiful skin? We are all inscribed with cultural failings that become personal through repetition. I don't want to overstate anything because of my own fear. I don't want to speculate too much because really I do hope that her generation will send love, 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 love. into the air with every movement, every interaction, and then those words would be just relics. What does it mean to be this color in your country? In your country? In your country?
Little Nene have always loved to shake dance. She widely known at the Shake Shack for years. Glittered and feathered, tasseled and twirled, she shimmy and drop, slow roll and pop. Grind everybody mind to a halt with she sizzle. Little Nene retired now, not from old, from just feeling done. But the history of she live on in the joint. Little Nene opened she own place. Say she feel like owning something of her very own, something just for women's. Anyway, ain't no men's allowed up at Little Nene's, well, except Mr. Goodies. Mr. Goodies ain't from here, and since he don't hardly talk, we don't even know his name, so we calls him Mr. Goodies because we all wants a taste of his packages. He be sitting alone off in the corner, all quiet and lovely. Drink jar disappeared in the thicker he hands. The blacker he muscles rippling loud from his shirt. All heads do turn in wonder. We don't mind Mr. Goodies up in Little Nene's. No, not one bit. Anyway, what no other men allowed up in Little Nene's was except the hoe men she run from the back and Sweet Roger. Sweet Roger tend the door in case a tester want to flex and show. Now, only a stranger would not know that ain't nobody yet lived that could outrun or outshoot Sweet Roger. And that Little Nene is expert with that blade she keep packed in she titties. It's a little gold number with pearls tucked right in the tight of she sweat with all up in there with the lace and the poured over skin. Anyway. Growing up the only girl in the devil's house, Little Nene long ago decided when nobody ever again gonna take nothing from her she didn't want to give. And Sweet Roger, well, Sweet Roger born with sugar in his shorts, so he share a knowing of how some people like to mash and downtrod female types. They both got the fact of that engraved in their skin and rancid memories. But one of them that allowed up in Little Nene's, ain't no men's at Little Nene except Mr. Goodies, Sweet Rogers, and the hoe men. Little Nene don't run no young hoe men or no sissy hoe men. The sissy got their own joint and their own hoe men's down the way. Though apparently the sissy joint ain't just for sissies, because Sweet Rogers say be plenty of non-sissy man up in the sissy joint, just a rolling and balling the sun out. Little Nene's hoe men's is there for the service of women's. Be all propped up, pretty, and smelling like cookies and cake. My favorite is that big old juicy one right there, wrapping his wide lips around that big old fat cigar. Ooh, rock me daddy. Anyway, Little Nene's home ends like to take to the stage and shake and shimmy. She don't require it, but do encourage it as the shake dancing means so much to she own self. From time to time, the whole men's enjoy getting up there and shaking it long and through the night, smiling all free in hips and thighs and knees. Sometimes women's gets up and joins them. Little Nene say every woman need to feel the dip and sway of she own self from time to time. Some nights, the free of it release possession right there in the joint. Possession of self, possession of power, possession of a new thing. This do make sense because Little Nene's is on the river. And when I say Little Nene's is on the river, I mean it's on the river. Not along it, not near it, it's on it. And you know the river is the seat of all womaness and flow. I think the river enjoy all the goings-ons at Little Nene's. Because it ain't never been nothing but gentle to that little shack floating on in the night. On the bank always be a pack of men's playing cards and talking loud and long. I guess they just like the feeling of being close to all that woman business. No, Little Nene don't let them in, but she do let they buy liquor and food from the kitchen. My grandma ain't pork chops run the kitchen. And baby, I am here to say that my grandma ain't pork chops. Show can cook. The riverbank men seem to enjoy looking at her as much as they enjoy eating she food. See, they call grandma ain't pork chops, not from she cooking. No, they say one look at that woman and you be drooling like you looking at a big old, thick, crispy, brown, juicy pork chop. To this day, can't nobody guess all the old grandma ain't pork chops is. I asked her one day, said, grandma ain't pork chops, how you stay looking so young and shiny? I'm sorry. Grandma ain't pork chop nasty. She put a bad picture in my mind. I really can't bring myself to repeat what she said. Anyway, I do know Grandma ain't pork chop start every day singing to the Lord. Well, maybe she ain't singing to the Lord, but her voice sounds like heaven. See, half my family religious, half used to be. But it's safe to say we all agree sometimes you need a preacher. Sometimes you need a good old-fashioned shout put on your high holy hand, a hit of salvation, a ride to heaven on the wings of a mighty tongue, a pinch in the... Anyway. This was one of those days we needed a preacher. And though our owns was busy up the road at the time, we did have holy hands in the house. See, what had happened was Lucilla Jones had caught the spirit dancing one night. Every grind and lift seemed to take her deeper down higher ground. Lucilla drop and moan, dip and circle, hips so low make she own head spin. Cheeks streaming tears. She sweat and wail, soak all who catch and witness. River lift the shack soft. River rock the room gently. I see Sweet Roger quick close and latch the door. Lil Nene and homins run round snatching corn and drink jars off tables, latch all glass behind the bar. River lift, river rock. A chorus of help you, Lord, help you, Jesus, come calling like it's Sunday morning. I hear Grandma ain't pork chops order pots and plates cleared. Latch up kitchen and back. River lift, river rock. Lucilla rolled and she wailed. Lil Nene pull she blade out, she titties and clip a piece of Lucilla hair, toss it to Sweet Roger in one motion, get to dancing. Chorus sing, help she, Jesus, somebody speak in tongues. Sweet Roger run from back, hair run to Grandma ain't pork chops in kitchen. Sweet Roger dance, river lift, river rock. Louder, louder, faster, higher. Hips swirl and shake the walls, feet drum floorboards quick. All of a sudden, Mr. Goodies run up from back the joint. Mr. Goodies grab Lucilla, pull chorus close while Lil Nene and Sweet Roger dance. Mr. Goodies push Lucilla head back with he thick hand, call, helps you, Lord, helps you, Jesus, somebody reply. Mr. Goodies spit on forehead, call, helps you, Lord, helps you, Jesus, chorus respond. Mr. Goodies dip Lucilla like a baptizing, river lift, river rock. Helps you, Lord. Helps you, Jesus. Whole men, circle, 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 tongue shout, round room, feet drum, boards, quick. Lil Nene and Sweet Roger dance. Then quietly, corner of my eye, catch a glistening from Mr. Goody's shirt. Apparently, the thicker he hands, the blacker his muscles rippling with helps you, Lord, helps you, Jesus. And all the swirling and dipping and spitting and pushing and soaking and feet drumming had done bust Mr. Goody's shirt wide open. And there, right there, up from under Mr. Goody's shirt, I see Mr. Goody's got titties. Mr. Goody's got titties, I screamed. Right when I wiggle under just so I could reach in and see if Mr. Goodies got goodies. Grandma ain't pork chop snatched snatched me up, thrown me off into the kitchen, and well, the next thing I know, I wake up at Grandma Aunt Porkchop's house, the sun bright and morning quiet. I don't know what happened the rest of the night. I don't know if Mr. Goodies got goodies, but I tell you what, Mr. Goodies got titties. Thank you. Kimberly and I are so happy to be here with you, and we would like to invite your energy to help us close and bless the rest of the evening. So if you would, when I do this, if you would say, I love you. So let's just practice. I love you. Oh, yeah. Okay, so no matter what we're saying, even if we're saying the same thing, your signal is this. I love you. If you feel like you want to add a moan, I know we got a singer up here. If you feel like you want to stand and do a gesture, whatever your gesture is, just please do that. I love you. And we're going to ask you all to stand, if you all would, just stand. And from here, you'll just join us. And, you know, I'm asking you to sing.
I will sing.
Okay. Let's just be clear. Okay. And you can do your own moan. You don't have to have no words. Okay. And if anyone else out there wants to add voice or breath, first of all, you guys be mindful of the edge of the stage. We don't want to lose nobody. And Kimberly and I will be the lead voices, so we'll have to listen. We'll have to be loud enough to hear each other, but soft enough, you know, to make the bell roll.
You are never alone. Rest now, little girl, go to sleep. Dream sweetly and free, right here, right now. In this moment, you are safe. I release you to this, the truth. This is what you are born to. I love you. And you love.
Little girl running past the shed,
I love you.
Slave woman shattered,
I love you.
Old man shattered, I
love you.
Veiled baby, I love you.
I love you.
African king who sold me,
I love you.
Jukin woman,
I love you.
Woman praying at the river,
I love you.
him, she,
I love you.
this is the message I'm bringing.
I love you.
This is the reason
I
I'm
love
here.
you.
This is the reason.
I love you.
Scared, beaten, neglected,
I love you.
drunk, mean, abusive. Hear me now or come back to it again.